There are plenty of famous weapons in video games. Doom's BFG, Zelda's Master Sword, Halo's Energy Sword. These weapons are all unique and great, but they all share one good quality. They all feel fantastic to use, like firing the BFG and absolutely obliterating a bunch of demons, or getting that perfect hit with the Energy Sword, and well, you get the point. So let's say you're working on a game and you make a weapon, and it's a bit like this. So yeah, it might need some work. So today in this video, I'm going to look over a few different games to show examples of what I think are the 4 key parts to look for when making a weapon that feels powerful. I will also apply this to a weapon from a game I am currently working on, so let's get into it. So, before I talk about making the animation feel great, you first need to know some basics to make it work at all. First of all, there are 3 parts to every attack animation, from guns to swords to just about everything else. 1. The windup, where the sword prepares to swing or the gun starts to fire. 2. The attack or the overshoot, where the sword swings or the gun fires. And 3. The recovery, like pulling back the sword or cocking the shotgun. The very first thing that you absolutely have to include in your weapon's animation to make it feel powerful is that it has to be responsive. If you have an awesome, perfect shoot animation, but it takes half a second to get to the shooting, it won't feel good. So in order to make it feel as good as possible, make the wind-up phase of the animation take as little time as possible. 1 to 2 frames is probably the best if your game is animated at 12 FPS. Overall, when animating an attack, get to the point as quick as possible. When you press that attack button, you should almost instantly get to the overshoot, or the furthest possible extension of the sword, or furthest back your gun recoils. Also, make the recovery the longest and slowest part of the attack. The recovery is where the player gets punished in a fighting game for missing, or where you are most vulnerable. One thing to note though, while the player should have a very short wind-up phase, an enemy should probably have a pretty long one. This will give the player long enough time to see the attack and react to it. While it doesn't have to be like 5 seconds long, it should be comparable in length to a player's recovery. Finally, for this step, I'm going to make an animation for that gun that I showed earlier and apply these timing steps to it. I'm not a great pixel artist or animator, but just by following these steps, I came up with a somewhat decent animation for this gun. Impact is fun. Screen shake, impact frames, things flashing white, blood, these are all really useful and also kinda dangerous. What I mean by that is, if you use too much of these things, your game can feel like a juice fest. Which I mean, if that's what you're going for, go for it I guess, but if you want your game to feel good and still be playable, listen up. You want to have a few different levels, so to speak, of impact. For smaller things like shooting and attacking, you usually want to have a bit lower impact, and when larger things happen, like maybe hitting something or killing an enemy or getting hit yourself, you want a larger impact. So for that lower impact, you might want to make a small flash and recoil for a gun firing. Then for the larger impact of hitting an enemy or killing an enemy, you might want to use some screen shake, blood particles, and impact frames for that enemy, and a satisfying sound effect. For this step, it is a bit easier for me to make an example rather than explaining it. So first off, you probably want to make a screen shake. This differs from engine to engine, but if you look up screen shake online, you'll probably find some good ones for your engine. You want to make it smooth and adjustable, like different intensities. So in this example, I will activate the screen shake at a low intensity when you hit an enemy, and at a higher intensity when you kill it. I'm not going to have the screen shake whenever you get hurt, because a good sound effect will convey that without messing with the player's view. Next, I made a shooting animation that has a nice recoil in the animation. Nothing huge, but it is noticeable. And also I have a large muzzle flash. This, combined with a good sound effect, gives the gun a nice feel to it. Finally, I made the enemy flash white for a frame when getting hit. Personally, I really like the effect, but it might not work as well on your project. Your major takeaway from this section should be that you should use impact, but not too often. Impact can add a lot of fun to your game, but you just have to make sure that it doesn't take away from the experience. This one's a bit less graphical, and kinda duh, but make sure your weapons in the game are useful. If a gun does very little damage, change it. Every weapon should be somewhat useful, from a flail to a sword, in order for people to enjoy it. If one weapon is too good, then it might create a meta, that in turn makes your gun less fun because of the lack of variety. In other words, make it balanced. Yeah, this one is pretty short, but it's also pretty simple. So this is more of an extra step. You don't absolutely have to do this to make your weapon feel good, but I think it's still important. It's important to set apart your weapons in your game. You can give them quirks or important, unique abilities. Take Doom 2016. Doom has quite a few weapons, and 3 of those are really fast firing guns that don't have to reload. But how do these weapons set themselves apart from each other? Well, the heavy AR is a very solid feeling gun. It kind of feels like a realistic gun, albeit probably quite a bit more powerful than any real AR. The laser rifle, on the other hand, fires slower ball-shaped energy bullet things. It feels kind of softer than the AR, but on the other hand feels really futuristic. Finally, the minigun has a very large spread and shoots incredibly fast, but the barrel takes time to speed up. My point is, especially if you're going to have a lot of guns or weapons in your game, make them unique. If they are unique, people will pick favorites, and those can help define their experience of your game. Honestly, overall, unique guns will add to the customization and replayability of your game. So let's go over what I've covered in this video. First off, there are 3 different parts of every attack animation. The windup, which you want to be fast and snappy, the attack, which you want to be exaggerated, and the recovery, the longest and slowest part of the animation. Next, impact is important, but you need to use it not too much. Screen shake should only be used when something important or impactful happens, not just every time you attack, unless it's a super powerful attack. Third, make the weapons balanced and useful, and try to discourage unfair metas that make gameplay stagnate. Finally, make each and every weapon unique and individual. Okay, that wraps up everything. I hope you enjoyed this quick video and maybe learned something too. If there's anything that I missed or that you think I got wrong, feel free to discuss it in the comment section below. I'll try to respond to stuff like that. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more. Okay, bye.